Imagine an airline looking at billions of dollars sitting right in front of it, and deliberately refusing to collect them. For decades, Southwest Airlines told passengers, "Check your bags, we won't charge you." It sounded like a terrible business decision. But that free bag policy became one of the most powerful marketing weapons in the airline industry. And here's the twist: Southwest eventually started charging for bags in 2025. So why did the company give away something competitors were turning into a massive revenue machine? The answer reveals one of the smartest, and most misunderstood, strategies in airline economics. Airlines love fees. Seat selection. Priority boarding. Change fees. Food. And, of course, checked baggage. For most airlines, the logic is simple. Keep the advertised ticket price low. Then charge customers for everything else. But Southwest built its brand around doing almost the opposite. For years, its standard fares included 2 free checked bags. That meant a family flying with 4 people could potentially check 8 bags without paying a separate baggage fee. From a traditional airline perspective, that sounds crazy. Because every free bag represents money the airline could have collected. But Southwest wasn't thinking about the bag. It was thinking about the customer's total decision. Imagine 2 airlines. Airline A says your ticket is $199. But after selecting seats, checking bags, and adding other fees, your real cost becomes $300. Airline B says your ticket is $219, and your bags are included. Which one feels cheaper? Even if Airline B isn't actually cheaper, the customer understands the price immediately. That's the power of price transparency. Southwest turned free bags into a psychological shortcut. Customers didn't have to calculate the final price. They didn't have to wonder how much their suitcase would cost. They simply knew. My bag is included. And that became a competitive advantage. But here's where the strategy gets really interesting. Southwest wasn't simply losing baggage revenue. It was making a strategic trade. Instead of maximizing revenue per bag, Southwest was trying to maximize revenue per customer. Think about it. If charging $35 for a suitcase generates $35, but removing that fee makes a customer choose Southwest instead of a competitor, that $35 fee may actually cost the airline far more in the long run. Because now the airline could lose the entire ticket. Future flights. Loyalty program activity. Credit card spending. And potentially an entire family's travel business. So Southwest was effectively saying, we'd rather make the customer happy enough to choose us than squeeze another fee out of them. That is a very different business model. Now let's look at the opportunity. Southwest has carried hundreds of millions of passengers over the years. Even if only a fraction checked bags, the potential baggage fee revenue was enormous. Competitors discovered exactly how lucrative ancillary fees could become. But here's the key distinction. Potential revenue is not the same thing as profit. Every bag also creates costs. Employees have to process it. The airport has to handle it. The bag has to be transported. It can be lost or damaged. And customer service problems can follow. So Southwest's decision wasn't simply, let's give away billions. It was closer to, let's use baggage as part of our pricing strategy instead of treating it as a separate product. And then Southwest did something even smarter. It turned the policy into a slogan. Bags fly free. That's not just a pricing policy. That's marketing. Think about how powerful that phrase is. You don't need a financial analyst to explain it. You don't need a calculator. You don't need to understand airline pricing. You hear 2 words. Bags fly free. And immediately understand the benefit. That's extremely valuable in a market where airline pricing can feel complicated. The baggage policy became part of Southwest's identity. It wasn't just something Southwest offered. It became something Southwest stood for. But eventually, the economics of the airline industry changed. Airlines became increasingly sophisticated at monetizing customers after the initial ticket purchase. Fees became a major part of the industry. And Southwest faced a difficult question. How long can you leave money on the table when your competitors are collecting it? For years, Southwest resisted. But in March 2025, the company announced a major change. For flights booked, ticketed, or changed on or after May 28, 2025, Southwest introduced checked bag fees for most fare products. However, certain customers continued receiving free bag benefits, including qualifying premium customers and some loyalty program and credit card customers. That was a historic shift. Because the airline wasn't simply changing a fee. It was changing one of the most recognizable pieces of its brand. And this is where the Southwest story becomes much bigger than airlines. The lesson is simple. Don't confuse a free product with a free strategy. Companies can give something away and still make enormous amounts of money from the decision. The product itself isn't necessarily where the money is. Sometimes the product is there to change customer behavior. Make the purchase easier. Reduce friction. Build trust. Increase loyalty. And ultimately increase the customer's lifetime value. That's one of the most important concepts in modern business. But here's the uncomfortable part. The old strategy worked incredibly well as a brand differentiator. Yet by 2025, Southwest decided it needed more ancillary revenue. The company finally began charging for checked bags on most fare products. And the financial impact started showing up quickly. Southwest reported a major increase in passenger ancillary revenue in the first quarter of 2026, with the company attributing part of that increase to the new bag fee initiative and other changes. So the company that built its identity around free bags eventually decided that the economics had changed enough to monetize them. And that tells us something important. Even great strategies have expiration dates. For decades, Southwest proved something the airline industry often forgets. Sometimes the smartest way to make money is to refuse to charge for something. The free bag strategy wasn't charity. It was customer acquisition. It was branding. It was pricing psychology. It was differentiation. And it helped Southwest turn a simple suitcase into one of the most recognizable competitive advantages in American aviation. But when the economics changed, Southwest changed too. And that's the ultimate business lesson. The best companies don't fall in love with their strategy. They fall in love with understanding the customer. Because sometimes the thing you're giving away isn't costing you money. It's buying you customers.